Inspirational as well. She's currently the CTO at AltaML, one of the largest applied AI solution providers in North America. She holds a bachelor's and a master's degree in computing science and has over 25 years of technology, business, and management consulting experience, including senior executive leadership positions. She has solid competencies in digital transformation, enterprise architecture, data and solution architecture, strategic planning, IT service delivery, program and project management, as well as vast experience in leadership and delivery of large and complex technology transformation programs. Prior to joining AltaML, she worked for Deloitte Consulting in the Technology Strategy and Transformation Service and co-led the architecture practice for Deloitte Canada. Please welcome Celia Wanderley.
It's nice to see the celebration continuing. I know we celebrated International Women's Day just last week, but to see, and I know I've been in events the week prior, last week and this week, so I think we really need this. We need to keep the momentum, we keep the conversation up. Just last week, the United Nations, they held an event, and the theme for that event was digital innovation and technology for gender equality. We're fortunate to have somebody from our team attend that event and participate in the conversations. It is very important for us to understand that digital is bringing an increasingly a digital world that we live in is allowing for some of the barriers that have been historically there to be broken. However, if we don't pay attention, what's going to happen is that there's a new type of gender inequality that's going to be created, what we call now the digital gender divide. And that's what we need to all pay attention to. If you look at what's happening in Canada, despite being almost half of the Canadian workforce, women in tech, the numbers have stagnated around the 30% for 10 years. We can all make a choice and say, you know what, we'll sit and watch and leave it at the 30%, or we can do something about it. So that's what I'm here to speak to you about tonight, is how can we all dare to be a driver of change? When we talk about, and I mentioned that the gender digital divide, and there's 3 ways in how that can happen, and how that is happening. One is women and girls, they have less access to digital tools than men and boys. Number 2 is, as you can see by this stat here, that women and girls are graduating in STEM fields in lower numbers than their male counterparts. And the third one is that women and girls are experiencing a lot more hate and violence online than their male counterparts are. And we had new Councillor Ann Stevenson here earlier today, and we see so much, it's so good to see more women in politics, but that's a tough one because we know how much more of that, that online hate they experience. If you allow me to even tell a little bit of my personal story, so you can probably tell by my accent that I was not born in Edmonton. So I come from Brazil and I immigrated here many years ago. But my mother, she was from a town, I'm from one of the poorest states in Brazil, and my mother grew up, was born and raised in a farm, had only access to a grade 4 education, was raised to be a wife and a mother. So you can imagine that might have disposed me to pursue post-secondary education, but even more a career in tech. But I honestly will say that it didn't. It gave me an even bigger drive, to go further. And not that I don't love, I'm also a wife and a mother of 2 kids, a boy and a girl, and that's an amazing part of my life. But I always felt that there was something else that I needed to pursue as well. I know in the room today we have a mixed, audience. We have leaders like Maureen, and I know who have been growing through her career and has had the opportunity to touch many other women's lives. And we have others who are starting maybe in their career, in their job search. So I will speak to how you can make an impact as a leader, but also as you are looking for companies where you're going to be growing your careers. And I like something that Ella said, that look for some of those things there. There are elements that we all need to look for as we dare to be drivers of change. I'd say the first thing is recruitment. It all starts there. And Diana Brousseau, who's our leader in talent, there's something that we have been partnering to do in the last, at least year or so, is to look at our job postings and see how are we writing them? Are we discouraging more diversity in those who apply? Are we making it seem that it's not for them? Sometimes when you ask for 10 years of experience, do you really need it? Or are you looking for those transferable skills that are going to tell you that somebody's actually able to do that job versus requiring 10 years of experience? Are we using software? Again, we have a lot of people here that come from an AI background. Are we using software that is inherently biased and that's going to screen out or give lower priority to those candidates that are going to perpetuate those we think could be successful in that job? Are we relying on referral networks that are inherently biased? And that's the population that we're going to have in our organizations. When you either form or you participate in interview panels, is there diversity in that panel? And is that panel asking questions that will encourage bringing in diverse people in your team? There's something else which we've been working on quite heavily, which is known as the ask gap. Data continues to show that females with similar experience, similar skills, when they apply for a job, they may ask for a lower salary than a male counterpart in the same situation would. So if we simply say yes and let it go, what happens is that over time, first of all, for that woman, what it's going to mean is that it's going to perpetuate through her career that she's always going to be at a little bit lower salary. And it's going to create this disparity in our teams where men are making more money doing the same jobs. So how we have addressed that situation, as I said, in our organization is my talent leader and I think I have given her the permission to hold me accountable for when she sees that, to point it out. And if we need to make a change, let's make a change, because we continue to see it. Next area to look at is company culture, organizational culture. And what should you look there? You should look at how supportive of gender differences are the workplaces. What kinds of forums exist for us to have conversations, not from a place of blame, but from a place of support? Are we having mentorship and sponsorship programs that will allow everybody to be empowered to advance in their careers? How much opportunity is being given for those who maybe have not as loud a voice and who need help amplifying their own voices? The to share an example of something that, and I have some of my colleagues here, something we have started at AltaML is what we call the Women of AltaML. And it's a place where, it's a virtual room where you leave your job title outside. We're there, not with a lot of rigor and structure, but to share, not very different than what we're doing here today, but to share experiences, to share some of our learnings, and share what worked, how we felt in certain moments, and what didn't. The third area, and this is pretty interesting. I think it's not until I was doing some reading about a couple of weeks ago, not an area that I was acutely aware. It was the area of accommodations. What is happening is that research results have shown that organizations historically have started to create more accommodations and have started to encourage women in a different way to accept those recommendations, so those accommodations. So what would be an example? An example is maybe you should work part-time. Maybe you should, take a leave. That is happening a lot with women who are starting, maybe wanting to start a family or have a young family. And the intent is not to say that that's a bad thing. What is bad is why is gender equity coming into play? Why are we not encouraging male and female in the same manner to take advantage of those accommodations? Because what is the fact that women are being, told to say, though, that's something you should do, is playing an adverse effect in their careers, that they are maybe sometimes self-selecting out for promotions. They are saying, well, I'm not going to apply for that role because it's going to require longer hours, and in my gender, I should be operating in this particular manner and accepting these accommodations. So what we need to do is to be all watching, and as leaders, I think there's a big responsibility that we play, and for those who are starting their careers, be on the watch of what you're seeing in your workplaces so that we can support one another. I think as I close here today, one of the messages that I would like to leave with you is really that it is not, we should all really carry this mandate to uplift women and girls, because that's what's going to be, the UN has said that the digital gender divide has already shaved $1 trillion from our economies. So that's hurting our businesses, that's hurting our economies, that's hurting our families, that's hurting our societies. And we need all to partner to uplift one another. Thank you.